Welcome to Iceland. This is Valur, your friend in Reykjavik. And here with me is Anna from the Museum of Sorcery and Witchcraft. They are located in the southwest of Iceland. And welcome, Anna.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I've been wanting to go to the museum for a long while. When did this start?
Yes, the museum, it opened in 2000, midsummer 2000. And they had preparing it. The idea came at 96, around that. There was a man here who was studying folklore in Reykjavik, Þjóðfræði. You maybe have a better translation. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he report how you could use this folklore heritage for the advantage for this area. Like we are situated in Strandir. It's actually translated as coast. So we are on the Westfjords. And this area is known for witchcraft. And there are many stories here. And in this report, this man wrote, we could open a museum of sorcery and witchcraft, or museum about sorcery. And this little idea got a lot of attention. So they saw that there was probably a ground that they could establish this here.
Mm-hmm.
And
was it the local guy? Was it the guy from Hólmavík or the Northwest? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. This was a local guy. And it was, and then they formed a group of people that were, or actually at the time there were only men that were in this group, but they formed a group, and each of them had like a different talent that was useful in this process. One was a historian, this was a folklorist, there's one carpenter, he worked on the building, one electrician, and so, and one who was a chef and was running a restaurant here already.
Okay.
And then there was one man, he was, carpenter, he was a lot of things, but he became the curator for the museum and was running it. His name is Sigurður Atlason, and if you see some pictures from here, he actually became the sorcerer himself, and for everyone who knew him, he was the real sorcerer.
Okay.
But he passed away in the late year 2018. There's suddenly, and there, that's when I took over as the curator of the museum here.
Okay, so you were working with him before that, or?
Yes, I knew him already, and actually I got to know the museum in 2009. I was studying tourism in Reykjavik, the University of Reykjavik, and I had to pick my final thesis. I had to pick a topic of my final thesis, and I wanted to do a project and research on innovation in tourism. On the countryside, because I grew up on the countryside. I actually grew up not so far away from here.
Okay.
And yes, I was thinking about how tourism can help strengthen the communities on the countryside, and decided to choose the museum of here in Hólmavík, Museum of Sorcery and Witchcraft. And then I came here and looked at the museum, and I took interviews with everyone involved, and also in the municipality, and people in the society and other. So I did the research on it, and it was and I came pretty charmed by them completely.
Yeah. It must have left some kind of a remark, or you came back.
Yes, I came back. Yeah.
Is the thesis available? Is it online or?
Yeah, it's online, but it's only in Icelandic. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it's in skemman.is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or you can look up some final
I'll have to get the link from you.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people gathered around. We have about 137 watching us right now.
Okay.
Just out of interest, you were talking about the former curator Sigurður, right?
Yes.
So he was do you believe he always was a sorcerer, or just when he became the curator, he decided to go all in and study the sorcery or magic of Iceland?
Well, I don't know.
Tricky question.
Probably. I think like everyone else, he had the potential in him, you know.
Yeah.
And but he got them, you know. He was able to, what's your name? Let's say, nourish it and make it stronger, and he became the sorcerer.
Okay. So did
Yeah.
did he do any ceremonies or anything like that in the museum?
Yes,
Or-
actually he did. Yeah.
Okay.
It was for many people. Like in the museum we have in the middle of the room we have this zombie. I'm going to say a ghost. We call it a ghost, but
Okay.
because in Iceland, yes,
Just to
there
give you an idea.
crawling out of the floor. And Sigurður, he did this ceremony where he did this magical verse and had some holy water, and he was, driving. How to say?
Driving it back.
Yeah. I don't know, like exorcism.
Yeah, like exorcism, yeah.
But not puking and not so. Maybe you could call it kind of exorcism. Yeah. And then he had people gathering around, and he gave everyone a stone with a Ægishjálmur as a protection magical stave. It's actually in our logo.
Yeah.
Children, they got a little stone with a heart, to protect them. So it's like, you have to hold this one while we're doing the ceremony. And then he performed this. And then he's spitting on the ghost, and also that's very important too. This is actually how he does it. He learned from, or he takes from Jón Lærða.
Okay. John the
Learned. Yeah, he was actually a sorcerer. He was just a common man, but he was very knowledgeable, and he was searching for knowledge, and he was really interested in sorcery and nature science and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually he got away from the fire. He wasn't burned, but he was accused 2 times. And yes, what I wanted to say.
Let's talk about the
Yes, sorry.
the burnings of the witches and or mostly the magicians of Iceland. Let's talk about that a little bit later. But so he performed the sorcery he was basically trying to protect the people from the ghost here in the middle of the room.
Yeah. Doing this performance there, and he told the people, like with the stone, that they had to get rid of it before they left the area.
Okay.
Because otherwise something bad might happen. And he heard some stories. People were like on the way and threw it out forgot it. Oh no, I have to throw it away. And then,
Yeah. So you don't bring it with you.
Yes, exactly.
They're actually we'll get a little bit to some Icelandic magic later on, but there are actually many stories about this. Like when you were waking up a Icelandic zombie or a ghost to basically attack or follow a certain clan or certain family.
Yes, exactly. That was the main reason why you would do it, because there you would have this slave that will do whatever you wanted. And yes, that's why they did it. And the most powerful sorcerers, according to some stories, folklore, they were actually priests, like Catholic priests,
Yeah. For some reason, a lot of Catholic priests in Iceland were connected to some sorcery and being magicians and doing
but actually like
playing both sides kind of.
But that's what the religion is doing. There's like magic or sorcery and witchcraft. It's not only one thing. It has a good side and a black. We can talk about white magic and black magic. So the black magic is something if you want to harm someone or you want to wake up the dead, something like that. White magic is more protection or to heal someone, or maybe you can call it superstition, to protect you, or hoping that you will fish better or your cow will be better or something like that.
Harvest better, or yes.
Exactly. And recite some words so you will have protection. It sounds, like prayers, Isn't praying kind of like is a white magic, I think. And we also have it in religion, kind of exorcism. That's what the priests used to perform.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that some people say that the reason why church was so against witchcraft was because they had a competition, the priests, They were not going to do this anymore after the Reformation.
That's also connected to our folklore. When Catholicism became, in the year 1000, shortly afterwards, they were driving out entities, trolls and elves, and they were trying to expel them from the country. They were putting holy water on the cliffs and anywhere where they can, but they were trying to dispel of the bad or old spirits of the country and trying to there's just one belief in the country. So there are many stories connected to that. We of course have many folklore stories connected to that. But you yourself, so you said Sigurd turned into a sorcerer by being the curator. Do you feel a sense of that? Because for some strange reason, shortly after when I launched this event, just like 20 minutes after I launched the event, the first quake of all the earthquakes that have been hitting here, the southwest corner, hit my home. I was just like shaking here for, I think, 12 seconds, something like that. And then your car caught on fire shortly after that. So there seems to be, I wouldn't be surprised if the volcanic eruption would just happen right now while we're talking. So,
could be. There are many things that I cannot explain. Yeah. And about the car, it was the evening before I was talking live like this about punishments for witchcraft in Iceland, and mainly about burnings.
Yeah. You've been doing live stories, right, on your Facebook page. So I really recommend it.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram also. You can find us on Instagram, Sorcery Museum.
Okay, Instagram, Sorcery Museum, and Facebook is Galdrasýning, or
yeah.
So it's similar like this here, galdrasýning.is, just on Facebook.
I think also there's like at Sorcery Museum on Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to get a link on that also. So do you feel like somebody cursed you or just?
Yeah, or I barely escaped the witch burning,
Yeah,
and the town folks came by like, what's happening? Is your car burning? Like, yeah, they're trying to burn the witch, but or maybe I was just lucky because I'm a witch, I escaped, So
who knows? But it's there are a couple of funny occurrences after we announced this chat. So just thought it was funny. So but you yourself, after you became the curator, you were working the museum just a couple of years before, or did you just take over? Or
I was working. I came here first at 2009, and then I came again 2012 to work over the summer. And then I lived actually where my father is living on a farm not far away, and I drove here about 20 minutes. And then I met my husband, who's my husband today, and he is from here, from this area.
Okay.
And so then I'm still here. So I worked in the museum for 2 summers, and then we went to Reykjavik for 1 year, and then we had 2 kids, and life went on. And then when Sigurd passed away, I decided to step up and come in. And the board decided to hire me because the museum is actually, it's a self-owning institution, and I don't own it. It's just so there's a board behind it, and they are in control, and then they hire me to run it.
So is it run by the town or just
no
people that are interested? It's an independent thing from the town itself, but still supporting, of course, the culture and so forth in the at the Strandir area.
Yes, and that was the main reason for establishing this institution, was to have something, to build something big attraction to attract people here, to build up tourism, and also to be cultural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw there was just a couple of weeks ago, there was a little bit of a town festival, something like that. Horrible days, or what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have in the summertime, we have a town festival. It's called Happy Days.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like the the other end. Yeah, because in February it's a hard time. It's dark, and you have to pay the debts from Christmas, and you know.
Yeah. The credit card bill comes out on February. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of. Yes, and so we had like different kind of events, and kind of to celebrate the dark and the difficult things in life, because it's a part of life, and if you don't acknowledge that and kind of a little bit celebrate it, then your life is not fulfilled. Your like whole life, you know, to have all the things. So we had like a self-pity seminar, for example, and listening to melancholic songs, and so yeah.
Sounds fun.
Well, I like it at least.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. We have a Winter Lights Festival here, all about some light shows and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm also drawn to the dark, so it's a perfect festival for me.
I think like for this area here, Strandir, we are not afraid to be different, and we kind of do more about that. We want to show everyone we're a little bit different and strange. So that's our trademark.
Yeah. So, but it's also interesting that most of the if we go back now and we talk about the Icelandic magic, there were some Icelandic magic long before, of course, really Christianity or Catholicism came, but then, of course, with the rise of the witch burnings in Europe, it slowly reached our shores here in Iceland, and for some people, it was really connected to the northwest of the country. Many of the burnings, at least, many of the executions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, what can you tell us, like in short, about that, the witch burnings of the northwest? Or wizard burnings, right? Really, because there were what 21 men burned, but just one woman in Iceland, right?
Yeah, it was 21 person was burned. One of them was one. So 20 men were burned, and only one woman was burned for witchcraft.
Yeah. So that's a anomaly. In Europe, it was mostly women that were persecuted and burned, but here in Iceland, they were mostly men.
Yes, and it's not only here in Iceland. It was also in North Norway.
Okay.
So it seems like in Northern Scandinavia, like there were more men, and there's one explanation, or might be an explanation, is that these societies were much different than in the middle of Europe. Women had to be part of a household. So there was no woman who was living alone or differently or in the forest. Like, you have to be in a farm. Everyone lived on a farm. So they were not so vulnerable like in the Europe. Maybe the women that were like living alone and not following the rules of society a little bit,
Yeah. So
maybe that was, could be. And accusing a man and getting rid of a man was much better here if you were looking to get his land or something like that, if you were using it for that reason.
Yeah.
So because the women didn't own anything, so there was no gain in getting rid of them.
Yeah, that's an interesting talk when you're saying, because we here in Iceland, we had really strict rules on that. Like Anna was saying, any woman basically had to be bound to a farm. That was kind of like so there were no like solo women living in the hills, or they had to belong to some kind of establishment like that. So it's an interesting theory, or kind of explains it, why there are so many men here. But why was it so bound to northwest? Why
well, there was the first burning in Iceland was actually in the North Iceland, not here. But then there was a case of some sickness that were, or a plague or something, that people were experiencing here in the northest part of Strandir. And no one could explain this, except that it must be magic. And it was something that happened mainly when people went to church. So they thought, okay, it's the demon or the Satan himself is in the people, and he doesn't like it when they go to church, and that's why they feel sick when they go to church. And then there was one man who was accused. He got accused, and also always when people were accused of witchcraft, you were able to free yourself of the accusation if you could get people to make a vow that you didn't do it, that you were innocent.
Okay.
So, and then you had to have people, the judge or the sheriff or whatever who was in charge, he would announce people that were in the same social status as you. So if you're a man and was a farmer, you had to find other farmers, 11 people, 12 with you. Of course, you will have to make a vow that you're innocent. And then the more than half of these people must, want to make a vow. And this man who was accused there, he wasn't able to do that. And he actually admitted for using witchcraft. He did not admit that he did witchcraft to make people sick, but that was enough. If you had some, if you did some kind of witchcraft or used some staves or magical symbols or something, then that means that you're guilty.
Yeah, usually it was connected to that people or men, and they would have some kind of Icelandic magical staves. They would have some kind of lettering on them, or maybe like on some kind of like a leather. They would have like a pouch that would be like a protection sign. But if you had a magical stave, that was like bad according to the church, even though it was for protection, not for attacking, or it was just considered just bad to have anything connected to some kind of heathenism or magic.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And most of the people that were burned for witchcraft, they admitted for using witchcraft. And it's like this superstition. We let's just call it superstition, to have these magical symbols to protect you or whatever. It was very common. So that suddenly the church say, "Oh, this is not good anymore. You cannot use this," and people just kind of like just crash, the culture, because something was,
Yeah, it was a pretty common thing to have like these staves or have some kind of a scribble on a calf skin or something like that. That would be like a protection sign or the wayfinder, some kind of like just for helping you, not to causing anybody harm. It was just
Exactly. Yes. And it's very understandable if you think about the times when this was happening. It was really hard to live,
Mm-hmm.
and common people just had actually not much means to help themselves. If there was, bad weather, or they couldn't fish much, or the cow would die or something, it's you will grab anything you can to help you.
Yeah, of course. So when were the official the start of the witch burnings or wizard burnings in Iceland, and the end, or what era was that?
It was in the 17th century. The first burning was 1619. No, sorry, 1652. And then right before the end of the century was the last sentence. There was actually 22 sentences for burning for witchcraft, but the last sentence, he actually wasn't burned. They changed it into that he was an outlaw, so he had to go to the prison in Denmark.
Yeah, he was outlawed from Iceland. So it was over like a 40-year period, or something.
About 40 years.
But I read some that it was really connected to this one constable or sheriff at the time that was kind of like, cuckoo.
There was one sheriff. He was here in Strandir, so he is known in the history that to have burned a lot of people, because there was when it began here, the real witch craze began when this sickness was in Strandir. I told you in the north.
Yeah.
There were 2 men burned for witchcraft there.
Mm-hmm.
So the other two didn't admit that they did anything bad, causing harm, but they admitted that having done some sorcery.
Using some.
Yeah. And then that's where it started. But then there was one priest in a bit north from here. He was sick, and there were some sicknesses in his home. So, and he was always finding some people and burning them. And then there was another priest, also in Westfjord, and he had a sick wife, and she was laying in bed, and his sons were also sick. So they were always finding someone that pointed at some poor farmers that they were sending this to them, and they're doing
sending some evil magic their way.
Yes, exactly.
So there were basically three people that were kind of like responsible for the most of the Northwest: two priests and the constable.
Yeah, and the sheriff. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So how many of the total? So you said 21 people. How many of the total were burned in the Northwest?
Most of them were burned actually in Thingvellir. Most of the 21, because that's the highest court. So often So I think there were 11 there.
I was just wondering how many of them were like sentenced from the Northwest and sent, of course, to Thingvellir for execution. But how many of the people that were, sentenced for being a wizard or witch or came from the Northwest? Do you remember? Is it half or 2/3 or?
No, I think 3/4 or something.
3/4, okay.
Yeah.
So obviously, there's a whole lot of wizard and witch connection to Strandir and to the Northwest. So it's an obvious choice for the museum.
Yes,
like location-wise.
And also for the coat of arms for this area here, Strandir, we have a magical symbol on it, because there are many stories of some sorcerers from here. For example, there was one who was actually, was the first of the founders who came to Iceland. His name was Svanur, and he lived in Svansholt, and he's mentioned in Njála in the Icelandic sagas. Yeah. And he was a sorcerer. He was able to control the weather. So he had a man coming to him. So there were guys who were supposed to protect him. So when the guys came, they wanted to kill him. They came on the mountain, and then he went out with a goat skin, and somehow with magic was able to bring out fog. So the men couldn't find their way, and they fell off their horses and lost the swords. And every time they turned back to go back, then the fog cleared. And then let's go back. The fog is cleared, and then they tried again, and they always came back. So they tried 3 times, and then it said, "Okay, you cannot deal with men from Strandir; they're just too powerful."
Yeah.
And he lived in Svansholt, and that's where I live now.
Okay. So the witch lives on the. It's not, you're not just the curator. You also decide to live on the same land that the oldest wizard or magician of Iceland probably lived. Ooh, cool. So there was Diane is asking, are those symbols on your logo staves? And just to confirm, yes, both on. If I have here the Museum of Sorcery and Witchcraft, if I share that now. So this is your letter, right?
Yes, this is Helm of Awe.
Yes.
There on the top, yeah. It's a protection, and it's especially protection against abuse of power. And that was very useful, and is now. And yes, when I tell our guests, foreign guests, often the guests from states really want that. They're like, okay, we need that. But everyone needs it. We all. Yeah.
So on Helm of Ave, its basic protection is for the abuse of power, to protect against that.
Yeah, it's a protection. Yeah, and to give you courage also. There is a story of Sigurður Fáfnisbani, this old story, and there was this man. He slayed a dragon, and he had. It says in the story that he had this symbol between his eyes. So it's very old, simple, and
So even though we can trace back many of these Icelandic magic staves are from an old book of magic from the, I think, 17th century, I think that's the oldest written. But many of these magical staves are much older, just kept alive, kind of in secrecy, because, as you said, the church was really not fond of people sharing these magical staves. I just want to show people also this one. This is my.
I'll go with yes, exactly.
This is my logo, and this is the Wayfinder or Vegvísir. Some people call it the Viking compass. So according to this legends about the magic book and this magical book, the wearer of this sign always finds his way through bad weather or bad circumstances in life. So it's like a protection sign for some people have like a necklace or tattoo or a ring, and so it's perfect for a guide. You always find your way.
I have it in my car, and not the car that burnt. The other one I still have.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you obviously need better magical staves to put in your car, right?
Yes, exactly. I think so.
So one thing that I came upon, of course, was these magical staves here. If I share that with you here. So what is your favorite magical staves? If you had to choose some, what kind of what is your signature? Is it the Helm of Ave or is it something else?
Yeah, I would think so. I would say, yeah, Helm of Ave.
Okay.
But I like them all.
Have you studied them after you gained your curator status?
Yeah.
Are you a practitioner in secret?
No.
Win a girl, okay? Carve the stave on a bread or cheese and have her feed on it. Interesting.
Yes. But I think interesting. There's so many staves that have something to do with farming, about the cows and the sheep and cutting grass, and for sharpening knife. It's. I like it.
Yes, of course. Iceland was a really poor farm society, so many of these staves just were directly connected to how can we survive on this barren land? Please help. Are they runic symbols? Yes and no. They are using some runic lettering into the signs, but what's your answer to that, Anna? What would you say?
Well, there is we have published in the Museum of Sorcery and Witchcraft 2 books with grimoires, and they have some runic alphabets in there. Is it kind of more, like this?
Is this book published by you, to Icelandic Books of Magic?
Yes, and also rune there.
Okay, rune.
Yeah, rune is actually it's a script from Strandir. It was found here, and it's owned, just a personal owned. So, and we were allowed to copy it and publish it.
Okay, I would love to. I don't have this one. I have the other one. I think I was trying to find it, but for some reason it had disappeared.
Oh.
But I would love. Which is your favorite book? If you would have to choose one, if you'd have to choose one Icelandic book about Icelandic magic, what would that be?
I would choose this one that you have there, Sorcerer's Creed.
Okay.
Yes, it's very beautiful and well presented. But also, if you go back to Museum of Hidden Beings, I also like that one. It's not about magic saves; it's more about It's about folklore.
Yeah.
And we have actually last year put up an artwork here outside. The artist is this Argrimur, the same who makes this book.
Okay, so this is not the same writer that for this one.
No.
Icelandic.
He's more an artist. This man, so.
I remember.
Impression on this, it says maybe not how we imagine these things, these ghosts and Tilberi and all these creatures, but this is his interpretation.
Yeah, exactly. It's his vision of these creatures. Oh,
Yes,
beautiful.
exactly. But it has also some explanations and so.
Okay. I will have to order some books from you guys. So yes, Strandri is closed. So it's not just you're not just it's not just a museum. You also have a restaurant, right?
Yes, exactly. We also have, and it started in 2009 after the financial crash, because museum or exhibition like us, we kind of live on support, financial support from the state, and after the crash, that was not so much. So as an answer to that, and as a way to survive, we start selling, food. So now we have this started as a coffee house, but now we have a restaurant. So we sell our most famous thing is seafood soup from the blue shell here that we make from here. It's farmed here in the fjord. We also have cod from the fjord here, and also lamb steak and Sorcerer's meat soup is also very good. I recommend that one.
Of course. Sorcerer's meat soup. I like that. I like the sound of that. I was just making the Icelandic meat soup like last week. Ate that for 3 days. Just lovely.
Yes, but we're also running a research office. There was a folklorist working here for the institution doing some research, but then that stopped, and now the University of Iceland has taken over actually. So we have here research center from the University of Iceland, and there's a folklorist working there.
Okay. So is he adding something to? And you have established like a museum or look for the museum, but is it? You have there are a couple of houses that the museum is housed in, right?
Yes. The museum is actually in old warehouses by the harbor. They used to be a warehouse for the shop here. Okay. They had some, like, the farmers came here to get the corn for the sheep or whatever. So this house is almost 100 years old. There's 2 buildings, and when we opened in 2000, it was in the one building. And if you see some pictures, there's a grass on the top of it. But now, you cannot see it there now. Other photos, Anyway, and this is the part that you see there. That's a new part. That's the other building, and we are finishing now finishing the look on the outside. Okay. On that.
So you're expanding into another part of and that's where the restaurant is, and
yes, that's where the entrance is and the restaurant, and then you walk a little hallway, and then you go into where the exhibition is. Yes, but we are not only located here. We are also in Bjarnarfjörður. It's about 32 kilometers north from here, and there's the Sorcerer's Cottage. So that's the second part of the exhibition. Okay. And that actually is a small turf house, and it shows how the people that were accused for witchcraft, how they lived. It was just poor farmers who were using sorcery to help them in their battle for life. So, and the building actually has been closed the last year, but we recently just got a fund to fix it. So that will be this year. So that's very happy news.
Congratulations with that. These turf houses, they are in constant need for rebuilding to keep them just standing. So obviously you need a lot of funds to be able to continue with that. I'm sure I'm going to visit this summer. Yoshiro is asking, is Sorcerer's Creed safe to use? Yes, perfectly. Most of this magic is white magic. Most of these letters and signs are signs of protection, or for a harvest, or for something good to happen. Shall we talk about some dark magic, or
or should we talk about the most infamous plant in the world?
Yeah,
maybe?
Of course. So what are those, Anna? What are you looking at?
Looking at the necropants.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the most famous item that we have here.
Obviously,
And
whenever I do our Reykjavik, we have like a live Reykjavik folklore walking tour, like downtown, and when we talk about the elves and trolls and of course Icelandic magic. So these are, of course, the story of these magical pans are told, and we always tell people to check it out at the museum. So this is the only example that we have still with us, right?
Yes.
Or do you know some people that have it?
No, I don't know. No.
Some people say that,
because if you put them on, they become just like your own skin, you know.
Yeah, some people say that our finance minister has one.
Could be.
But, yeah.
But to make one, you have to make a deal with someone when they're alive that you're allowed to skin them from waist down when they're dead, and you cannot kill them. You know, they have to die by other causes.
Natural causes, yes.
Yes.
You need to just be ready with a scalpel and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they have to go to the graveyard and dig him up after, and then I have to skin him without making any holes, because then you will ruin it, making holes. And then you have to make a simple, special magical stave on a paper, and then they steal a coin from a poor widow, and put these two things in the scrotum, and then put the pants on, and then they will come just like your own pants. On your skin, sorry. And the magic is that that this coin will attract more coins, so you will always have money in your scrotum.
Yeah.
You have to be careful not to take the original one, you know, because then the magic is ruined.
So basically, your balls are always full of money.
Yes, exactly. You can have a money ball.
All right.
Exactly, and but you don't want to die with it. It's also then your soul is condemned forever, and you will not have any peace, and your body will be infested by bugs, and so you have to get someone else to take over, take them, you know, inherit them.
Yeah. So
you can go through generation. You can inherit necropants from someone else.
Yeah, some people say that some families in Iceland are like these are the family jewels of those.
Yes.
Those families. Yes. Yes. What? How about this one? What is this?
Yes, this is a magical creature. It's called Tilberi, and this is actually funny. It's most of the people are burned for witchcraft were men, but this actually is a women's magic. Only women can perform this magic. And so to create this creature, you have to go to a churchyard during a holy night. So, for example, like around Easter, and then you have to dig up a body and take a rib from someone, some human rib, and wrap it into a wool, and then keep it between your breasts. And then the woman goes to, when she gets the sacrament and gets the holy wine, she's not supposed to drink it, but she has to spit it on the bone. And this she has to do 3 times. She has to go to church 3 times and spit the holy wine on the bone, and then it will turn alive. It will become alive. And it comes head on both ends. So you can see there's one head, but there's also another one. And then this creature will... when it turns alive, the woman has to make an excuse to run out of the church, because it starts moving, so she has to go, and then it will need to feed, and it feeds on the woman. So it feeds on the blood of the woman, and she will have to make like a nipple on her inner thigh, and there the creature, and she will keep it under her skirt, and it will lie there along her leg and drink blood from her. Like her nipple she will make from her thigh, and it will grow about the size of the lady. And people often ask, why would you go through all of this trouble to create this? Yes, because you can send them out and steal milk from cows or sheep.
Yeah. That was the main point of it.
That was the main point to create. Yeah.
So you would send it like to the next poor farmer, and he would, and this thing Tilberi suck on the ewes or the cows, and then bring it back, and then it would spew into a bottle or case,
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, and then was actually she would make. Then she will make churn it and make a butter out of it.
Oh, so it's a tilbera butter.
Yeah,
so
tilbera butter.
The
Yeah.
best butter in the world.
And yeah, so it will go out and it will steal like milk, and it will like drink until it's about it's a kind of like a ball, and then it rolls back home and it pukes in the churn, and he will make butter out of it. But it doesn't. So it doesn't feed itself on milk, but he collects milk because he loves his mother. And yes.
Yeah, there's some reason that a lot of Icelandic magic, like how to raise the dead, it's really a hard work to get some Icelandic magic going. You need to do unspeakable things sometimes to be able to work some magic.
It's like that. For example, also to make yourself invisible, and you have to carve a magic stave, and you have to get and you have to have a mixture to make the stave out of, and that's kind of different kind of blood, and the brain of a raven, and blood from the heart of a raven when it's still beating. It's like it's really, really hard. And for example, like the Necropants, to steal a coin from a poor widow, I think that's most impossible part of the actually magic, because no one had money around that time.
Yeah.
Icelanders, we didn't see money until the Second World War, I think. Most, not really much, So
exactly, and coin, most of this magic, would be nearly impossible in. So I was thinking maybe it was more to say, okay, this is Icelandic magic, but it's too hard for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we have a lot of people here watching, 130. Diane is asking what was the name of the stave for the protection against the abuse of power.
Helm of Awe.
Helm of Awe.
Yeah.
Helm of Awe. We can show it to you also again here. You can see it's it's here on the top. Helm of Awe. It's a very common thing for T-shirts and tattoos and stuff like that. This is a very common sign over here. Helm of Awe.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I will also tell you one story about the raising the dead. Because you have the picture there from the museum where that guy is crawling out.
Yeah.
Because there was a story. There was a man here. In Iceland, he was waking up the dead, but he actually wasn't careful when he wanted to choose the grave, choose the person he would wake up, because then he starts, with the ceremony, and then how it goes is the head comes out first, and then they had like this saliva around their mouth, and then they had to take the saliva off, because that's the first step to gain power over the dead, But when the head popped out, he saw it was the head of his former mother-in-law, and he really did not have appetite to lick the saliva off her. So he didn't do it, and therefore he didn't gain a power. And eventually she came out of the grave, and she attacked him and tore him into part and threw him all over.
Yeah,
so it's a dangerous game. If you want to do it, you have to be prepared.
Yeah, you usually had to choose. So if you were going to raise the dead in Iceland, you would have to you'd have to choose a teenager or young person, because the dead would basically be twice the powerful as they were in life. Mm-hmm. So you usually had to choose like a younger person, a teenager, something like that. So that's because you would have to do wrestling with it after you'd reached it. I'm not going to tell you the magic needed to raise the dead, because I tell you that in the folklore on the live walking tour. I don't want too many dead walking around here in Iceland. So when he comes up, you need to wrestle it. You need to put it down, and then you're his master, and then you can send it to do your dirty work, and usually like it's said that many families or a couple of families in Iceland are haunted by this kind of a zombie or ghost for 9 generations, and it's better if they're just freshly dead, if they're newly dead, because if they're newly dead, then you need to feed it also. You would need to have put milk and food, and you would have to have room available for it. And if somebody lay in the bed that the ghost owned, and that was horrible news. Usually people never woke up maybe again if they lay down in the bed of the ghost. So yeah, a little bit about how to wake up the dead in Iceland. Do you have anything to add about that anymore?
No, that's very good.
So what do we have? Is that Yinma? Robert, not sure what a Yinma is. Do you know, Anna, what he's referring to? So Icelandic, this kind of zombie is close because the description of these kind of ghosts that were haunting people, they varied. They can sometimes be like a poltergeist. They would be scaring away sheep or cattle, and they would break dishes, do stuff like that. So that was like a poltergeist attack. But sometimes these creatures were just like humans. They would live on the farm. They would eat. They would drink. They would have their own bed. And if you didn't, provide for them, if you didn't basically be good to them, then they would cause havoc. Then they would start, doing bad things. They could kill you. They could kill livestock and so forth. So the description of these zombies, ghosts, whatever, are varied depending on the story.
And it's and the fear of ghosts was really real here in Iceland. Actually, people, one way to get rid of a ghost or to make sure that you don't come back as a ghost was to cut the head off of the person that was dead and then bury it with the body facing down, or laying on the stomach, and then putting the head on the ass, or
yes.
Yeah. And the king, when Iceland, the king of Denmark was our king at the time, and then he heard about this, and he actually wrote, there's an official letter he wrote to Iceland, please stop doing this, to these poor people that have died, So
yeah.
One way was also to nail the feet into the coffin, so sure they wouldn't come up again, So the fear was apparently real, and yes.
Yeah, apparently, in some areas, people were really. There are some really, really famous ghosts or specters. For some reason, they are sometimes called the mórar or skottur. Usually, and that's also a part of this teenage thing, because they would have like a cap on their head, usually red brownish, some kind of cap that would be like their calling card.
Mm-hmm.
And
there are also animals that are ghosts,
Yeah. So, yeah. Thorgeirsboli.
Yes, and we also have actually here in the area we have a horse. It's actually like the skin is off. He's dragging the skin behind him. It's kind of like the bull, and he tries to get people to sit on the skin, and then he will drag them into the hole with him, into the ground.
Okay. Is that to the northwest? Is that creature or?
Yeah, here. There's a story about it here.
Okay. What's his name? I'm just curious. I always like to.
Yeah. I can maybe send it later.
Yeah, no problem. Denise is asking, can you tell us about the fart curse?
Yeah. There are farting rooms. There's a special rooms that you can, as to make a curse on someone, that they will fart so hard that they kind of like the limbs and everything will just get loose. It's like they will die because of the.
Interesting.
Yes.
Is there a group that practices like a religion? Annabelle is asking.
Not that I know of.
No. But I know people that are really well, yeah, they believe strongly in some magical staves, like they believe they are protection or help, and they chose a couple of staves that they think are the right ones or have power, and
Yeah, and when I look up, like, there are societies like online, like witches, and when I look into it, and it's like people that have the stones and use herbs, and
mhm.
and
I
it's
think
like
a
follow
lot of
kind of,
instances,
yeah.
they are bringing a lot of, well, a lot of stories or a lot of magic together and mix it together in their own magical pot.
Mm-hmm. But like then when I look at it, I was like, oh, maybe I've always been a witch, because I grew up with my mom. We were always picking herbs, She was giving me this horrible tea when I was sick, and my mom was also a little bit like when the lambing time was, she went to bed and she said, like, okay, just talked into the air and said, okay, wake me up when something is happening in the sheep house. And then if she would wake up, then she said, okay, I was woken up, It's like, and we also talk about spirit guides. Mm-hmm. That's very common for me to talk about spirit guides. It's like if the cows became really nervous, and then suddenly 20 minutes later someone arrived, and then okay, that was his spirit guide or someone who was following him, and it's I'm just used to it. And we also talk about elves, and yeah, you don't disturb certain places because there are elves there, and you don't want to.
Yeah, there is a survey done that showed that like 55% of people believe in some kind of, or don't dismiss the fact that there are elves or trolls or ghosts, or there are other beings here with us on this island that we cannot explain. Mm-hmm. So I think it's more. It's usually because we don't want to dismiss the fact. We want to respect nature. We feel like we have so many, like my mother has several stories that I can about elves and dealings with that. So why would I dismiss that if it's so close to me? I have a couple of relatives that have some kind of experience. So yeah, it's very hard for some of us, at least, to outward just say, no, this is not happening, this is not real.
Mm-hmm. And we have many stories, like kids are more sensitive to it, that they see some things that we don't see or feel something,
Yeah.
Someone is asking if there are elves in Holmøy. Yeah, I think there are elves here. At least I've heard of kids that are playing with some other elves, talking to the rocks, And mm-hmm. where I'm living, there are like big rocks in the hill there, and there are stories that people saw some light in there, like light you saw.
Yeah. Yeah, there are so many stories here about dealings with elves where a farmer is lost in a blizzard or a fog or something like that, and he sees a little bit of a light ahead, and then he sees a small opening on a cliff or small stone. The dimensions of elves are quite different than ours, so it could look like a small stone for us, but it could be a palace on the inside. So this farmer, poor soul, just seeking shelter, goes into the light, and there he's meted and greeted by elves that keep him alive until the blizzard lifts or the fog lifts, and yeah, they basically save his life. So many stories like that. So it's and she was asking here, Julie, has either of you seen elves? Yes, I've seen elves.
Okay, I haven't, fortunately.
But, I'll tell you that story maybe later. So yeah, I think this is just brilliant. We've been about an hour. I think this is perfect for a chat about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lee Jane is saying, I wonder if necropants are good for motorcycling. I'm not sure you want like a fall in the, because you remember if you put a hole in the necropants, then they don't work. So not good for motorcycling if you fall. So So Anna, but just great to meet you. I'm sincerely hoping that my family, we're gonna do some traveling this summer, and I really would like to go to the museum and have some sorceress meat soup, and have a chat there. Maybe do another live stream at the site.
Yeah, that would be great. Yes.
So takk fyrir mig.
Yeah, takk fyrir mig.
Sjáumst
Thanks
þá.
everyone for watching.
Bless. Bye.
Bye.